A very good evening to all our viewers and welcome to tonight's edition of Primetime News coming to you live from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. I'm Arundhati Mudannaik. Let's start off with a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
We hope to allow Indian currency to be a tradable currency in Sri Lanka. IMF bailout expected this month. Foreign Minister Ali Sabri assures while on tour in India. Reveal the IMF agreement. Dr. Harsha De Silva demands the government.
එකඟ වෙනවයි කියන ගිවිසුම අපි දැකලා නැති නිසා අපි දන්නේ නැති නිසා ඒකේ අත්‍යවශ්‍යම මොනවද තියෙන්නේ කියලා.
Fish heists in Baligama aggravates. Police launch investigation. 824 youth from fishing communities in Tamil Nadu given defence training to stop smuggling. Organic fertilizer policy caused a loss of 245 billion rupees. Next season is uncertain. Officials summoned on Tuesday to discuss election. Complaints will be lodged with the police against state officials responsible for delaying elections. A statement from the Election Commission.
දැන් හත්වෙන්දත් එයා හදන්නේ මේ රාජ්‍ය සේවකයන් කැඳවලා අහන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. කියන්නයි තියෙන්නේ කරන්න ඕනේ වැඩි.
One person dies while hiking in the Nuwaragala Reserve.
And now the stories in detail. Foreign Minister Ali Sabri, speaking in an interview with Hindustan Times, says Sri Lanka won't allow any country to make the island nation a hub for anything that is harmful to India's national security interests.
In the interview, Sri Lanka's Foreign Minister, President's Counsel Ali Sabri said the Sri Lankan government plans to work more closely with New Delhi to bolster economic recovery, including a proposal for settling payments in national currencies. He said, quote, "We want to integrate and probably allow Indian currency to be a tradable currency in Sri Lanka so that more Indians could come and use it and Sri Lankans could use it without depending on third currencies," unquote.
Meanwhile, speaking to WION, Foreign Minister Ali Sabri said the economic situation in the country about the economic situation in the country and said that he's hopeful of securing IMF's bailout this month.
So there was a stalemate for a long period of time, and then India came forward and gave that assurances the way IMF wanted, and Paris Club followed that, and China had given something, some sort of an assurance, but it is not compatible with the IMF, but we are still talking to them. So we are very hopeful that China will also, they have their own concerns, but they will also come on back on track. So hopefully with everybody's support, we will get the IMF bailout within this month. We are very, very hopeful, and things seems to be all go in the right direction. It's difficult, hard work, but as far as Sri Lanka is concerned, there are 15 prior action we need to take. We have taken all of them.
Meanwhile, Samagi Janabalawege parliamentarian Dr. Harsha De Silva says that the agreements reached with the International Monetary Fund should be revealed.
දැන් අපිට ආරංචි වෙන විදියට ජාත්‍යන්තර මූලාරම
According to the reports that we got, the IMF is very close to approving the $2.9 billion bailout for Sri Lanka. We have got assurances from all countries like India and Japan except for China. The President has not had any discussion on this, nor has he made Parliament aware of these. Since we have not seen the agreement and since we don't know the content of this agreement, we have clearly said that we are not in agreement with this tax scheme. We have even informed the IMF directly that under a new government, we will change it as well. We do not have to do something just because the IMF tells us to do it. We are speaking with a group who refused to enter into an agreement with Singapore. The camp that is in power was against doing trade with India. We need to build bridges and break down walls and integrate this country with the world.
කැම්ප් එකක් තියෙන. පාලම් බඳින්න ඕනේ. තාප්ප කඩන්න ඕනේ. මේ රට එකතු කරන්න ඕනේ ලෝකෙට.
One person who visited the Mahaoya Nuwaragala Forest Reserve has died after falling off a precipice in the area.
The Mahaoya Nuwaragala archaeological site is identified as a site with historical importance in Sri Lanka. Foreign as well as local tourists visit this area for its attractive geographic setting and high-altitude caves. To reach the caves, one must embark on an 8-kilometer-long journey along a rugged road from the village of Pollebada in Mahaoya. Tourists also trek along the path that leads to the location from the Burapula Vidyalaya located along the Mahaoya Ampara Road. Tourists mostly visit the pond located at the top of the Nuwaragala mountains and the caves below it. Isurudyanga Veerasinghe had left to visit the Nuwaragala reserve with 7 others to celebrate his birthday on the 3rd of March. The group had left to visit the Nuwaragala site after obtaining permits from the Wildlife Office. The group had spent the night within a cave in the Nuwaragala reserve. Isurudyanga, who was among them, had gone missing, while a group of police officers had found his body in the area below the mountains. The deceased 34-year-old was a management assistant at the Mahaoya Water Board and a resident of Kumarigama Uhana. The magisterial inquest was conducted today by the Dehiyatta Kandiya magistrate after reaching the scene with great difficulty.
Reports on the catch of fishermen being looted along the seas of the Waligama coast are increasing by the day. Another such incident was reported in the seas of Palana in Waligama.
Several incidents where the catch of fishermen were looted along the seas of the Waligama coast were reported over the past several days. The most recent of such incidents was reported in the seas of the Baddewatta Fisheries Harbour in Palana, Waligama. This group of fishermen went out to sea from the Baddewatta Fisheries Harbour in Palana, Waligama. According to the fishermen, they were fishing about 6 nautical miles from the harbour and roped in a catch of about 1,500 kilos of fish. A group of fishermen from Mirissa had robbed these fishermen of their catch.
We had our catch of fish. They came in about 25 boats and boarded our vessel. They tore our nets and assaulted us. They forcibly took our catch and loaded it on their boats. They took about 500 kilos of fish. They pulled the nets and ripped it, and some of the fish escaped. We have no way of going fishing because our fish is being stolen. They didn't get fish, but we got some, and this is what they did to us. They had stolen about 2,000 kilos from us before this.
The fishing equipment of these fishermen were also damaged. We inquired from the Waligama police regarding this matter. The police said that an investigation into the matter has been launched.
Tamil Nadu Police Chief Sailendra Babu says that 824 youth from the fishing community in Tamil Nadu have been given defence training.
Indian media reported that he made these remarks when he visited the Dhanushkodi police in Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu Police Chief C. Sailendra Babu stressed that smuggling activities conducted from Sri Lanka and illegal entry to India have been stopped, and police continue to conduct operations. The Tamil Nadu Police Chief said that 824 youth from fishing communities in Rameshwaram, Tuticorin, Kanyakumari and Nagapatnam were trained, and one of the youth went on to join the Navy. He added that youth who get this training will be eligible to join the central and state defence sectors.
Meanwhile, a meeting between Fisheries Association in the north and parliamentarians was held in Jaffna today. The meeting, chaired by senior lecturer at the Jaffna University, Dr. Abilakan Khadiragama, focused on the statement made by the Foreign Minister regarding issuing permits for Indian fishermen to conduct fishing in Sri Lankan waters. Meanwhile, in a tweet, Indian Foreign Minister Dr. S. Shankar, commenting on the meeting he had with Sri Lankan Foreign Minister Ali Sabri, said that he raised issues relating to Indian fishermen. A new study has found that the loss caused due to the drop in harvest of tea and paddy brought about by the inept decision of the Gotabaya Rajapaksa-led government to ban chemical fertilizer in about 245 billion rupees.
Experts point out that Sri Lanka is far from resolving the complications brought about by the chemical fertilizer ban, as debt-strapped farmers reap the harvest of their fields where the produce is still lagging for the third consecutive season. The Gotabaya Rajapaksa-led government took an arbitrary and unsound decision to ban chemical fertilizer overnight, forgetting the fact that agriculture is often regarded as the backbone of Sri Lanka's economy. As a result of this inept decision, the farmers who feed the nation with rice and major export crops like tea suffered a major blow. Experts from universities are now beginning to calculate the monetary loss caused by these unsound decisions, while the issues faced by the farmers who were caught in the middle of all of this are still unresolved.
We lost about 1.7 million metric tons of harvest in the year 2022 alone. The amount of paddy harvest that we lost is between 1 million to 1.1 million metric tons. This is the reason why we had to import about 783,000 metric tons of rice to the country last year. The government has spent about 87,000 million rupees for these imports.
Experts opine that the harvest could drop by about 15% this season. The Peradeniya University is in the process of preparing a report on the economic damage caused to the country as a result of this inept decision to ban the use of chemical fertilizer.
According to our studies, the harvest for the Maha season had dropped by 56%, while the harvest for the Yala season had dropped by 30%. We had lost about 1,756,000 metric tons of harvest. The monetary value of this is over 175 billion rupees. The production of tea has dropped by about 47,000 metric tons. We have lost about 68 billion rupees as a result of this. On the other hand, the government has spent over 83 billion rupees to import organic fertilizer.
Farmers, meanwhile, have fallen from the frying pan to the stove, as their now significantly low harvest does not even fetch a fair price on the market. Farmers are unsure as to how they are going to cultivate the upcoming Yala season. In addition to all of this, farmers also allege that there is no proper procedure for the distribution of the 6.98 million litres of diesel donated from China for agricultural purposes in Sri Lanka. Agricultural officials are following a lackadaisical approach in addressing the issue against a backdrop where about 97,000 acres of paddy fields in Sri Lanka have become barren. The third unsuccessful agricultural season in a row is now over. When we inquired from the Ministry of Agriculture on their plan for the distribution of fertilizer for the next season, they did not have a proper answer. The officials are silent. Over 1.8 million farmers across the island are still waiting. What will be their fate? Can they cultivate during the next season? Shouldn't officials at least now take necessary steps to address these issues?
A decision has been reached to file complaints against state officials responsible for delaying the local government elections.
Chairman of the National Election Commission, Attorney Nimal Puncheheva, said complaints will be filed against the government printer, the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation and the Director General of Government Information. The chairman of the Election Commission said that matters surrounding these charges are being examined and that the complaints will be directed to the Inspector General of Police promptly. Meanwhile, a decision was reached to summon officials, including the Secretary to the Minister of Finance, the IGP and the government printer, to the Election Commission once again this week. The Election Commission said it will convene on Tuesday to discuss the local government polls. The Commission said based on the order issued by the Supreme Court, discussions will be held with relevant institutions including the Finance Ministry, and the decision regarding the date to conduct the local government election will be announced before Thursday. Speaker Mahinda Apabewardena said that the letter by the Election Commission requesting him to intervene in providing the necessary funds for the local government election was presented to the party leaders in Parliament. Party leaders have reached a consensus in Parliament to release the funds allocated for the local government election through the 2023 budget.
All opposition parties have written jointly to the Election Commission demanding the local government election be held by the 19th of March. They have also requested for a meeting with the Commission on Tuesday the 7th of March at 9 a.m.
In a letter to the chairman and members of the Election Commission, the opposition parties state that it is the imperative duty of the Election Commission to conduct the local government election on or before the 19th of March 2023. Citing the order of the Supreme Court on the 3rd of March, restraining the Minister of Finance, Secretary of the Treasury and others from withholding necessary funds for the conduct of the election, scheduled to be held on the 9th, the joint letter states that the Supreme Court has removed the only impediment to holding the election. The letter further reminds the Election Commission of the undertaking it gave the Supreme Court, stating that it will hold the said election according to the law. The joint letter signed by MPs Vijitha Herath, Professor G.L. Pires, Mano Ganeshan, Rishad Badiuddin, Ranjit Madhuma Bandara, Rauf Hakim, Shanakian Rasamanikam, M.A. Sumandiran and Dayasiri Jayasekara states that it does not see why the Election Commission should consult the Secretary to the Treasury or anyone else now that they are bound to comply with the interim order issued by the Supreme Court. The joint letter concludes by stating that the signatories of the letter wish to meet with the Commission at 9 a.m. on Tuesday, the 7th of March. Convening a media briefing today, a group of representatives of civil organizations, including the lawyers of the struggle organizations, said the local government election should be held in March.
The decision is clear and definite. The Finance Minister or the Secretary to the Treasury cannot say that funds will not be released. IGP cannot refuse to provide security. The government printer cannot refuse to print ballots. If they do so, cases can be filed against them on contempt of court charges. We would also like to say this to Mr. Punchiheva. The chairman of the Election Commission is summoning state officials on the 7th to discuss with them. What does he have to discuss with them? He should just give them the orders on what needs to be done.
අපි කොමිසමට කියනවා 7 වෙනිදාට විය යුත්තේ ඡන්දය සඳහා දිනය නියම කිරීම සහ අදාළ නියෝග ටික දෙන්න.
On the 7th, the Election Commission must set the date to conduct the election and issue the relevant orders. The government printer who complained they lacked facilities to print ballots should be ordered to resume printing from the 7th. This election shouldn't be delayed any further. Ranil Wickramasinghe is still trying to take away our right to vote.
මොකද එහෙම නැත්තම් තාම රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ හිතන් ඉන්නවා මේ ඡන්ද බලය අපෙන් පැහැර ගන්න. ගිය අවුරුද්දේ සැප්තැම්බර් මාසේ මේ පළාත් පාර්ලිමේන්තු මැතිවරණ තියන්න තිබුණා.
The local government election could have been held in September of last year, but Punchiheva only set dates at the very last moment so that Ranil and the Rajapakshas could do whatever they want. The chairman of the Election Commission should set dates to conduct the election in March. As an independent commission, you have a right to do so constitutionally.
වාට නිශ්චිත අයිතියක් තියෙනවා ස්වාධීන මැතිවරණ කමිෂන් සභාවක් ලෙස අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම මාර්තු මාසය ඇතුළත දැන් ඔබට දිනයක් දීමේ අයිතිය තියෙනවා. ඒක විවස්ථාවෙන් ඔබට ලැබිලා තියෙනවා.
Speaking at a meeting of the Samagi Jana Balawege in Bulat Sinhala, Kalutara, opposition leader Sajid Premadasa said that the government has no right to postpone the election any further following the order issued by the Supreme Court.
අපිට ඕන අවුරුද්දකින් මැතිවරණයක් නෙවෙයි. අපිට ඕන මැතිවරණය දැන්. අපිට ඕන විසඳුම දැන්.
We don't want an election that will be held in a year. We want the election now. We want the solution now. The people of the country are looking for an answer. The people are looking for the alternative. The people of this country cannot suffer like this any further. That is the reason why we need the local government election. The current president is saying shut up and sit down when asked about the election. When the president said shut up and sit down, the Supreme Court told the president, you shut up and sit down and give money for the election.
Shut up and sit down කියලා. ජනාධිපතිවරයා shut up and sit down කියනකොට ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨාධිකරණය කියනවා you shut up and sit down and give the money for elections.
මැතිවරණ කොමිසමට දැන් තියෙන වගකීම තමයි වහාම මැතිවරණ දිනේ ප්‍රකාශයට පත් කරන්න.
It is now the duty of the Election Commission to urgently announce the election date. There is no need to take time for this. There is no need for further discussions with the Finance Ministry and the government printer. Discussions are simply a killing of time. Elections must be held quickly. That is their responsibility.
ඕලේ පාස් කරන්න බෑ.
මැතිවරණයක් ප්‍රකාශ කළාම ඒ දිනයක් දුන්නාම තමන්
When elections are announced, you can go into that booth and vote for the party of your choosing. In this manner, you can change your president, government, local government officials, and even your local Pradesh Sabha representative if you don't like him. That is democracy. At the end of the system change, we know what will happen. Hold all the meetings you want. In the end, we know that our SLPP representative will win, even if it's by just one vote.
එක ඡන්දෙන් හරි අනිවාර්යෙන් පොර්ටුවේ මිනිහා ජයග්‍රහණය කරනවා.
දැන් අපට ආරංචි වෙනවා රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ ජනාධිපතිතුමා දැන් තව මේ නූල් සූත්‍රයක් දාන ලෑස්ති වෙනවලු.
We have received reports that Ranil Wickremesinghe is trying to do something else now. We would like to request the Election Commission to announce the new date of the election on the 7th of March, just in line with the Supreme Court order. Ranil Wickremesinghe is trying to push the Election Commission to postpone the election and then use the Delimitation Committee as means to postpone the election by 1 year. What can we do just because he does not have any votes? It is all right for you to go into the arms of the Pohottuwa, but you cannot destroy the country.
A village that dreamed of having access to clean water. A group of people struggling to make ends meet amid a myriad of issues. Gunmeta today gifted these people with the clean water that they have been asking for all their lives.
Although development projects seem like long-lost dreams in Sri Lanka, although canals, bridges and anicuts are not being built, can we really turn away when people don't have access to something that's so vital to their survival like water? The residents of Yayapaha Karuwalagaswaba village in Galgamwa for years have pleaded with the authorities to give them access to clean water. However, their pleas fell on deaf ears, and getting the water that they so desperately need start to seem more and more like a dream. But today, there's a smile on the face of these people because their dream is now a reality. The severity of the lack of access to clean water in this area is evident by the large number of kidney patients in the village. Residents here had to trek over 10 kilometers to get some water to drink. In the end, the residents of this village turned to Gunmeta and Gunmeta responded. The event was attended by the Mahasangha, state officials, generous donors, residents of the village, Shevan Daniel of the Gunmeta movement, General Secretary of Gunmeta Prasanna Atukorala, the Divisional Secretary of Galgamwa, E.G. Wickramasinghe, and the Director of the Galgamwa Base Hospital, Tarinda Pradeep Veerasinghe. Gamini Fonseca and Indu Gunasekara, who support the program, spoke at the event.
It is a blessing for us to be able to be a part of a project like this. Now it's up to you to take good care of this. I wish all of you the very best for your future endeavors.
දැන් මේ ව්‍යාපෘතිය ඇත්තටම අපිට කරගන්න ලැබෙන්නේ නැහැ ගම්මැද්දේ මේ මහත්තුරු හිටියේ නැත්තම්.
We would not have been able to do this project if not for Gunmeta. Officials at Gunmeta were always updating me on the progress of the project. I request you to protect the water that you get from here and ensure that it is distributed among everyone. Gunmeta is conducting similar projects across all parts of the island. I wish the Gunmeta team will have the strength they need to complete more of these projects across the country.
මම ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා. ඒ වගේම ගම්මැද්දෙන් මේ ව්‍යාපෘති ඔබලා දන්නවා හැමතැනම ලංකාවේ අසක් මුල්ලක් නෑරම සිදු කරනවා. ඔවුන්ට තව තවත් මේ වගේ ව්‍යාපෘති ආරම්භ කරලා ඒ වගේම අවසන් කරන්න ශක්තියක් ධෛර්යයක් ලැබේවායි කියලා මම ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරනවා.
A performance by children from the Udyani Rangayatana added colour to the event. Shevan Daniel of the Gunmeta movement also spoke at the event.
Starting today, all of you will have clean water. I believe that if we change as citizens and individuals, we can build a better country. Let's forget about trying to change everything and change what we can, ourselves. What a shame it is for a nation such as Sri Lanka, blessed with so many natural resources and located at such a strategic position in the world, to say that we don't have money. Is that what leadership has come to? Well, the accelerated Gunmeta projects have been conducted mostly during this period where everything is said to be impossible to get done. We did all of this with the support of you, the people. It goes to show that if we stand united as a focused and disciplined people, nothing will be impossible to us as a nation. It begins with us, the people.
J.M. Kapila Jayasuriya donated the plot of land needed for the project. Pushpa Fonseca, Gamani Fonseca, residing in Colombo 5, and family friends support this project in memory of their deceased parents, while Indu Gunasekara, his wife and family friends donate to the project in the name of their son, Tanuja Gunasekara. Sankalya Tiambaravati, Saranga Kaluarachi, and PKAD Senarath and his wife also joined hands with Gunmeta in making this project a reality. The Sri Lanka Navy provided technical support to provide water to the Yaya Paha village. This project will help these villagers turn a new page in their lives, as now their long-lost dream is a reality.
News First with the people.
The National Audit Office revealed that lapses on the part of the University Grants Commission has denied university entrance to 798 students.
According to the National Audit Office, for the period from 2016-2017 academic year to 2019-2020 academic year, there were 192 to 220 vacancies after the admission of students to the universities, but due to lack of readmission of students for those vacancies, 798 students had lost access to the universities. Commenting on the findings of the report, the University Grants Commission said the Commission is in the process of filling the vacancies for the 2019-2020 academic years. The audit report also highlights that in the Committee on Public Enterprise held on the 8th of December 2021, it was recommended to limit the number of courses in which aptitude tests will be conducted in order to provide the maximum opportunity to university entrance applicants who pass the GCE A-levels, but until the date of this report, those recommendations have not been implemented. The response of the University Grants Commission was that there was no final consensus on the minimum qualification requirements.
Suspects who were arrested on charges of robbing former chairman of Sri Lanka Cricket, Anna Punchiheva, have been released on bail. This was after the suspects were produced before the No. 2 Holstoff Magistrate Court. The Magistrates Court granted bail to the suspects as they had agreed to plead guilty before court.
The police media division said that the suspects had robbed Anna Punchiheva of his phone valued at 467,000 rupees, an expensive wristwatch and 200,000 rupees in cash. The suspects had handcuffed Anna Punchiheva and robbed him. The arrested suspects were temporary workers at the police storage facility. According to police, the 21-year-old suspects are residents of Colombo 15.
International Women's Day 2023 is marked on the 8th of this month. And tonight we take a look at a female business leader who rose above the ranks to become an industry leader.
Her name is Buddhika Manage. Buddhika, who now represents the top management of Sri Lankan Airlines, began her journey as a management trainee. She rose through the ranks of the corporate ladder and today holds the position of Group Head of Human Resources and Cabin Services at Sri Lankan Airlines.
As
a woman, I believe that being a woman in our professional lives is something advantageous to us. A woman has the ability to multitask. Women have more patience, and the way a woman looks at an issue is different to how men look at a certain issue. I have used these things in my professional life to my advantage. There are no shortcuts. You have to have a goal and you have to work towards achieving that. Nothing can stop us from reaching our goals. I do not believe that there is anything or any job that cannot be done.
Sri Lanka Sandhani Piris won second runner-up at the WBO Top Model of the World pageant held in the Egyptian city of Sharm el-Sheikh on Friday night. The pageant was won by Miss Mexico, with Miss Colombia being adjudged first runner-up.
The winners were chosen from among 43 contestants during a 2-week competition at the Sunrise Whitehills Resort on the coast of the Red Island. Among the 6 finalists were Miss Dominican Republic, Miss Thailand and Miss Sweden. This was the 29th edition of the annual event conducted by the World Beauty Organization. Apart from being a model, 22-year-old Sandhani Piris is also a dress designer and ballet dancer.
Biz Fast.
Also in local news, gas prices will not be increased this month.
Litrogas says the price of gas cylinders will not be changed this month. The price of gas cylinders are revised on the 5th of every month according to the pricing formula. Issuing a statement, Litrogas said the company will increase the price of domestic gas cylinders as the Sri Lankan rupee has appreciated against the US dollar.
Atra magazine's launch of the Lucky Senanayaka edition and Art Experiential Festival was held in Galle this weekend. The late Lucky Senanayaka was an artist in many fields and a focal figure of Sri Lankan creative art.
Today, Day 1 of the Art Experiential Festival began with a conversation on sculptures, drawings and figurines of the late Lucky Senanayaka with Ismat Rahim. The magazine celebrating Lucky Senanayaka was then launched by founder and editor-in-chief of Atra magazine, Azara Jalil, with Ismat Rahim, C. Anjalendran, Michael Mailer and Dominic Sansoni. The launch and tour of Atra's collection, focusing on the works of Atra's emerging artist Katharina Daniel, was held last evening with the attendees of the Art Experiential Festival.
Sri Lanka's series of currency notes of flora and fauna in the late 1970s, sculptural work in the Sri Lankan Parliament building in Kotte, beautiful artwork in many of the renowned hotels in the country. These are a very few examples of the talent and life of late architect and artist Lucky Senanayaka. Today we are at Galle at an art experiential festival hosted by Atra magazine to highlight the little known aspects of this rare artist.
Day 2 of the Art Experiential Festival began with a conversation with Michael Mailer on Lucky Senanayaka's currency notes of the late 1970s. A session recollecting Lucky Senanayaka's work was then held with C. Anjalendran and Dominic Sansoni. The attendees then joined a tour of the iconic handrail of Jetwing Lighthouse by Lucky Senanayaka with Ismat Rahim.
So this is the cannon which they used. Sri Lankans didn't have cannonade before the arrival of the Portuguese.
The sessions ended with interactive discussions about the work of the late Lucky Senanayaka with partners, speakers and volunteers. Newsfirst was the proud media partner of the event.
Nations have reached a historic agreement to protect the world's oceans following 10 years of negotiations.
The High Seas Treaty places 30% of the seas into the protected areas by 2030, aiming to safeguard and recuperate marine nature. The agreement was reached on Saturday evening after 38 hours of talks at UN headquarters in New York. The negotiations had been held up for years over disagreements on funding and fishing rights. The last international agreement on ocean protection was signed 40 years ago in 1982, the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. That agreement established an area called the High Seas International Waters, where all countries have a right to fish, ship and do research, but only 1.2% of these waters are protected. Marine life living outside of these protected areas have been at risk from climate change, overfishing and shipping traffic.
Xi Jinping is set to deepen his control of China's government and economy as lawmakers meet this week in Beijing to pass far-reaching reforms.
National People's Congress, a rubber stamp parliament top team. They will also name a new premier, the second in command after Xi, as the incumbent Li Keqiang departs. The two sessions, as the meetings are known, are an annual affair. But this year's sessions are particularly significant as delegates are expected to reshape several key Communist Party and state institutions. They will also tighten control over bodies overseeing the finance sector and scientific and technology work while strengthening party building work in private businesses, according to state media. The moves will likely further blur the lines between the Chinese Communist Party and the government and consolidate the party's control of the private sector. This comes amid an ongoing corruption crackdown, which has seen a string of high-profile businessmen disappear in recent years. The latest person to go missing was one of China's top deal makers in the tech sector.
Moving on to sports news now. Sri Lanka won the championship at the BNP Paribas World Team Cup Asia Oceania qualification event of the Uniqlo Wheelchair Tennis Tour in Thailand, beating host Thailand 2-1 in the finals.
Earlier, Sri Lanka topped Group B, beating China 2-1, Australia 3-0 and Pakistan 3-0, while Thailand won Group 1, where they competed against South Korea and India. Sri Lanka got impressive performances from Suresh Dharmasena, Gamin Disanayaka and Pradeep Kumar at the tournament, held from the 28th of February to the 3rd of March.
The 93rd Battle of the Maroons between Ananda and Nalanda colleges ended in a draw today.
Nalanda College declared their first innings on 280 for 5 after being put into bat yesterday. At stumps yesterday, Ananda College was 65 for 1 in their first innings. Resuming play today, Ananda was eventually bowled out for 235 in 87.4 overs. Nalanda declared their second innings on 121 for 5, while Ananda mustered 22 for 2 at the close of play, ending the two-day game in a draw.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of Primetime News. Thank you very much for joining us. Good night.